Okay, now we can go along okay, except with -1/2. We don't want to skip the step where we write parentheses -1/2 squared, and then write -1/2 times -1/2, and then apply what we know about multiplying fractions, right?
Right.
If we skip this step, we're likely to write down just about anything because fractions are taught in 5th grade, and then a calculator's thrown in everybody's hands and nobody learns fractions. Nobody learns to think about fractions, work with fractions, and they're very important in this course because some of our functions have numerators and denominators. Okay, we've already seen them. We dealt with some earlier in this class when we were doing domains and ranges. And there's all kinds of things you have to be able to do with fractions, okay? So number one, don't be skipping steps. Now, I skipped steps down here, but just for expedience, but you should write it out. 0 times 0 equals 0. 1/2 times 1/2 equals 1/4. When you do the graph, well, clearly our x numbers just go from -2 to 2, right? At least for our basic function, okay? That's as far as we go. Because once we have this, we can do anything we want with it. We can graph any quadratic function by transformation, something that we'll probably talk about soon because you're going to get to it in a couple of weeks, okay? And our numbers go from 0 to 4, right? So according to this table, at least if our domain consists of these numbers, what's our range?
The y.
Now, what is the range of a function? It's a set of all possible y values, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So our range is the set 0, 1/4, 1/4. If the domain is the set -2, -1, -1/2, 0, 1/2, 1, 2, then the range is 0, 1/4, 1, 4. These are the numbers you can get out of these numbers, right?
Right. Okay.
That's domain, that's range. We spend a lot of time talking about domain of more complicated functions. We have to understand what domain means and what range means, okay?
Okay.
Now, if your domain was all the numbers from -2 to 2, then you can pretty well conclude that your range will consist of all the numbers from 0 to 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So if the domain is the interval from -2 to 2, then the range will be the interval from 0 to 4, right?
Right.
Okay? So when I set up my table, I don't have y values going from -10 to 10. Now, there might be a reason you'd want that for some functions if the range is domain's a little bigger. But on this, on this domain, I don't need any numbers less than 0. Although I will include some y-axis that goes down below here just to be sure we understand the y-axis continues. And I don't need any numbers bigger than 4. And on the x-axis, I don't need any numbers less than -2 or greater than 2. But yeah, I've got a little extra x-axis in there. Okay? Now once I have that, to construct my values down here, I cut the interval between 0 and -2.5, and the interval from 0 to 2.5, and what's in the middle?
0.
No, from 0 to 2, what's in the middle?
Oh, 1.
Yeah. And then I cut that in half, and what's in the middle?
0.
No.
Oh, 1, 1/4.
Yeah. It's 1/2,
Yeah, 1.
right?
Yeah.
And here we got -1, and here we got -1/2. So there we have good
Okay.
labeling of these points, right?
Right.
And for our y-axis, we cut the interval from 0 to 4 in half, which gives us what? What's halfway between 0 and 4?
Well, 2.
Yeah, you know that. Okay? But I'm making you say it, just make sure we get it locked in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I cut this interval in half, and what's in the middle?
1.
Mm-hmm. Also, I cut this interval in half, what's in the middle?
3.
Yep. And then, since we've got 1/4 here, I'm not going to label it because there isn't much room, but I cut the interval from 0 to 1 in half, gives me 1/2, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I cut the interval from 0 to 1/2 in half, and that gives me what?
1/4.
Yeah. So there's our 1/4.
Okay.
I haven't labeled it because it gets in the way.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Because you really want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
You really want to think about the numbers so you understand the function. Okay?
Okay.
At least, you know, you understand what you can understand by doing this exercise, which is quite a bit. Okay? So go ahead and do that and then plot your points.